Hi, everybody. I'm Judy the YouTube Lawyer. Today, we are going to continue reading through some of the depositions in a lawsuit that Dr. Charlie Adelson has filed against Berkshire Life Insurance Company. As many of you know, Charlie Adelson is currently in jail in Leon County, Florida. He is suspected of being the mastermind behind the 2014 murder for hire of law professor Dan Markel, who was his former brother-in-law. So in this lawsuit, Charlie Adelson was claiming that he was entitled to disability insurance benefits because he started having back problems during a trip to the Philippines in January of 2016. So this is actually the second lawsuit he was involved in regarding disability insurance benefits denials. And this lawsuit was filed, I believe, in 2020, and it's still ongoing. So I'd like to thank you guys for being here and caring about the case. And this is actually Charlie Adelson's attorney's response to some statements in the insurance company's motion for summary judgment. So I thought this is good to show up on the screen again. I know I've shown it in the previous live stream, but here they say that Dr. Adelson obtained an MRI on or around September 12, 2016, consistent with Dr. Gottlieb's recommendation, which showed a herniated disc at L1 to L2 and a bulging disc at L5 to S1. Okay, so anyway, I just thought that was worth pointing out because some people have left comments asking whether he was actually diagnosed with anything or what his MRI might have said. So I'll take that off the screen because we talked about it in a previous live stream. And today we're going to focus on the deposition of Dr. David Licht. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he's an internal medicine doctor. He's still licensed, although he has retired a couple of years ago, and he was paid as a consultant for the insurance company to review Charlie Adelson's claim and his medical records. So in this remote deposition, which was taken in mid-December last year, he is being deposed through Zoom by Benjamin Hasselbrock, who is one of the attorneys representing Charlie Adelson. So thank you all for being here. I'm always pleasantly surprised that people still care about this case because it is kind of a side issue compared to the criminal case that Charlie Adelson is currently involved in also. So I'm not going to read every single word in this because I don't think my voice is going to hold up for the whole entire thing, and it's just 55 pages with some fluff. So this is the cover page. You can see that it was taken on December 16th, 2021 in the morning, deposition of David Licht, MD. So we'll just skip over the beginning introductions. So Dr. Licht is still licensed in New York as well as Massachusetts, and he graduated from medical school in 1980. Okay, so I already read over a lot of this, so I'm just going to slowly scroll it through for anyone that really wants to reread it on replay and pause the video. It says he mostly retired in 2020 and he does consulting work for insurance companies. He said something about, he got paid, I think 200, well, he was paid by review. And back in 2016, he was paid for his time and his experience approximately $240 per hour, so significantly less than what Charlie Adelson was paying his expert witness, Dr. Kishner, to testify. So I believe Dr. Kishner said he was getting paid $750 an hour for the deposition, and for any trial time, he would charge $850 per hour. Okay, so I think it starts getting a little bit more interesting, relatively so, at around page 15. Okay, so here we are, page 15. Okay, so the questioner is the attorney Benjamin Hasselbrock representing Charlie Adelson. Is it fair to say that your understanding is you are to review records and provide an opinion on Dr. Adelson's disability? Ms. Furman, objection to the form. Witness, I would provide an assessment. Hasselbrock, and what were you assessing? Functional capacity, restrictions, limitations. Is it fair to say that you were assessing Dr. Adelson's medical disability? Furman, object to the form. Witness, I was assessing any possible impairment, not disability. Hasselbrock, okay, what's the difference between impairment and disability? Furman, objection to the form. Witness, may I answer the question? Furman, yes, you may answer the question if you understand it. Witness, yes, I do. Disability was determined by the claims examiner taking into consideration the contract, medical records, and other issues. Impairment was just an assessment of decreased ability of a body part or body parts. Mr. Hasselbrock, did you examine Dr. Adelson? No, I did not. You reviewed Dr. Adelson's medical records? Correct. And how was it determined what medical records were available to you for review? I did not determine what medical records were available for me to review. So what records did you have access to? I had access to the records they sent me, typically all of the records relating to the claimant's medical condition. That might have been imaging results, office visits, and other documents. So within the Cypress system, which you had access to the Cypress system, correct? Correct. So within the Cypress system that Guardian used for its claims, would you have had access to the entirety of the claim file? I believe so. So any medical records that were in the claim file, you would have been able to access and review? Yes. So can you tell us what conclusions you reached with respect to whether Dr. Adelson was impaired? I noted that some impairment is supported by the available medical evidence. The prognosis for returning to full functional capacity in time is good. So it's fair to say that you agreed that Dr. Adelson had some impairment at that point in time? Furman, objection to the form, time period. Witness, the claimant had self-reported pain condition. Hasselbrock, understood. My question, doctor, was it fair to say at the time you wrote this record that you agreed that Dr. Adelson had some degree of impairment? Furman, object to the form, time period. Witness, yes. Hasselbrock, and what was that impairment? Can you repeat the question, please? Yes, what was that impairment? The impairment was low back pain. And what did that prevent Dr. Adelson from doing physically? Ms. Furman, objection to the form of the question. By Mr. Hasselbrock. I'll tell you what, doctor, I'll rephrase that for you. In your opinion, what did that impairment prevent Dr. Adelson from doing physically with respect to his occupation? Furman, object to the form. You can answer, doctor. Witness, what I wrote was from a functional perspective when symptomatic, which appears to be work-related. The claimant would be restricted from bending, pushing, pulling, twisting at the waist, and lifting no more than 10 pounds. Hasselbrock, so when you say symptomatic in that sentence, what did you mean by that? Answer, when he was in pain. Question, so when Dr. Adelson was in pain, and were you agreeing that Dr. Adelson's pain appeared to be work-related? Furman, object to the form. Witness, I'm sorry, the question again? Hasselbrock, was it your opinion that Dr. Adelson's complaints of low back pain appeared to be work-related? Yes. And when he was in pain, your opinion was that he would be restricted from bending, pushing, pulling, twisting at the waist, and lifting no more than 10 pounds. Is that accurate? Yes. Do you know whether any of those things that we just described were things that Dr. Adelson did in his occupation as a periodontist? There was no formal vocational rehabilitation assessment of his capacity as a periodontist. My understanding from reviewing the record was that as a periodontist, he would need to assume positions while working that would exacerbate his pain. Question. And so it is fair to say that your opinion here was that if Dr. Adelson is in pain at work, he should stop doing those things that are causing the pain? Furman. Objection to the form misstates the witness's testimony. Hasselbrock. Is that fair, doctor? Answer. Dr. Adelson should have done less, should have performed fewer of his occupational duties to diminish or abate his pain condition, which was recommended to him. And is it fair to say, doctor, that at the time you wrote this report, you had no concerns that Dr. Adelson's care was appropriate for his medical condition? Furman. Objection form. Witness. From the records I reviewed for the period of time in consideration, his care was appropriate in my view. Hasselbrock. And is it fair to say, doctor, that at the time you wrote this report, you had no concerns about any inconsistency between what Dr. Adelson was describing for his symptoms and what you were seeing in the medical records? No, it was consistent. And is it fair to say, doctor, that your opinion then supported Dr. Adelson's disability claim? Furman. Objection to the form. Witness. Can you rephrase that, please? Hasselbrock. Sure. Did you have an understanding as to whether Dr. Adelson had submitted a claim for partial disability when you completed this review? Answer. I assumed he submitted a claim. And? Answer. Otherwise, I would not have been asked to participate. Question. And is it fair to say that your opinion about his impairment supported a partial disability claim? Furman. Object to the form. The witness has already testified on the subject. Hasselbrock. Is that fair, doctor? Answer. I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question one more time? Question. Yes. Is it fair to say that your opinion supported Dr. Adelson's disability claim? Furman. I repeat the objection. The witness has already testified as to the scope of his opinion. Witness. I don't make determinations of disability. Hasselbrock. I understand you don't make the determination, doctor, but you were a senior medical director for another insurance company, handling insurance claims for at least 7 years, so you have some experience in this area, right? Correct. So what I'm asking is not for a disability determination. I'm simply asking, is it fair to say that your opinion supported Dr. Adelson's disability claim? Answer. Again, I can't make a comment about the disability claim. I can tell you that his condition supported a degree of impairment, which is what I wrote, some degree of impairment as supported by the available medical evidence. And when you're looking at a disability claim, aren't you looking at functional impairment that affects a person's occupation? Furman. Objection to the form. Hasselbrock. Is that correct, doctor? Answer. Can you repeat that question, please? Hasselbrock. Could I have that question read back? The pending question was read by the reporter. Furman. Same objection. The witness has testified he's not looking at a disability claim. It was a records review request. That was the scope of his role. Hasselbrock. Thank you for your speaking objection, counsel. Hasselbrock. Will I get an answer from the witness? Furman. Doctor, to the extent you can answer the question, you can respond. Witness. I can't answer that question if it involves a disability determination. That wasn't my function. Hasselbrock. Right. And I don't think I was asking you for a disability determination, but that's fine. We can move on. Is it fair to say that your opinion was that Dr. Adelson's impairment was supported from the claim date of disability? Furman. Objection to the form. With respect to the date, I just don't know that that's been established on the record here that you're referring to. Hasselbrock. Doctor, if you could look at Cypress 571, about the bottom third of that page. Yes. Do you see where it says, quote, if impairment is supported, is it supported beginning on the claim date of disability above, unquote? Yes. And your understanding is that guardian was asking you to answer that question. Yes. And what is the claim date of disability referencing? August 30th, 2016. And your answer to that question was yes. Is that right? Correct. And so is it fair to say that your opinion when you wrote this report was that Dr. Adelson had an impairment that was supported from August 30th, 2016 through the date of this report? Furman. Objection. Misstates the witness's testimony. Hasselbrock. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that for me? Yes. Hasselbrock. Can I have that question read back? The pending question was read by the reporter. Furman. Objection, the document speaks for itself. The doctor has already testified that the question was Hasselbrock. It's a form objection. I don't need you to instruct a witness how to answer. Hasselbrock, Doctor, do you understand the question? Please repeat it one more time. Certainly. Was it your opinion that Dr. Adelson had an impairment that was supported from August 30th, 2016 through the date of this report? The date of this report meaning my report? Yes. Yes. Question. If you look at Cypress 572, the last paragraph that appears to be in bold type, do you see that distinction between there seems to be a bold font and then a regular font? Yes. How do you distinguish between those two sections of the report? Between the bolded section and the section labeled historical? Yes. Well, historical is just a recounting of the record. The narrative includes a somewhat recounting the record and my assessment and what I wrote in that last paragraph. May I read it? Yes. Answer, quote, if pain persists, referral from the attending internal medicine physician to either a neurosurgeon, orthopedic back surgeon, or PM&R, that's physical medicine and rehabilitation specialist, would be expected. Question. And then you said that the file would be appropriate for review again in 3 months. Is that right? That's correct. So when you're talking about a referral here, are you talking about Dr. Adelson being referred by his internist to a specialist? That's correct. I would add that his internist in the record had also suggested that be the case. Do you know whether that happened? No, I don't. It's not in the record that I received a review. Did you expect to review this file again in 3 months? Not necessarily. So, answer. Claims decisions were made in that interim. Other decisions were made in file handling. Question. Do you know whether the file was reviewed again in 3 months? I don't. Did you have any involvement with Dr. Adelson's claim after this report? Not until notice of this deposition, no. Hasselbrock, thank you, doctor. I'm going to ask that we go off the record for just a few minutes. You can take a break. I'm going to look at my notes, but I'm almost finished. Okay, so then they take a break. The next question. After you issued a report like this or completed a review, were you able to follow claims in the Cypress system to see what ultimately the decision was? I don't know. I never did that. I had enough claims to review to occupy me by just doing that. No, I did not. So you wouldn't have followed this claim to see what decision was made after you issued your report? No, I would not have. Hasselbrock, thank you, doctor. That's all I have. Witness, let me answer from time to time. The claims examiner would say, hey, you remember that report? We got additional records. Can I send them to you? That sort of thing. But as a matter of course, no. Hasselbrock, did that happen with respect to Dr. Adelson's claim? No, it did not. And so after this review was complete, did you have any further involvement in Dr. Adelson's claim? Until this notice of deposition, no, none. Hasselbrock, thank you, doctor. That's all I have for now. Cross-examination by Ms. Furman. Dr. Licht, I would just like to ask a few questions here to make sure that the record is clear with respect to your involvement with the medical record review. Your review does contain that section that starts historical, and you described for us what that is in terms of a narrative about the medical record that you reviewed. Is that correct? Yes. And so the medical records that you reviewed are the ones listed there for Dr. Friedman. You reviewed 3 treatment notes dated August 30th, 2016, September 7th, 2016, and September 16th, 2016, correct? That's correct. And you had an opportunity prior to your deposition today to review those chiropractic notes from Dr. Friedman. Is that correct? Yes. Without going through each note, do you have a recollection based on that recent review that Dr. Friedman had made treatment recommendations for Dr. Adelson? He did. And what's the condition for which Dr. Friedman was treating Dr. Adelson in those records to your understanding? His initial evaluation dated August 30th notes diagnosis of radiculopathy of the lumbosacral region and segmental and somatic dysfunction of the lumbosacral region. At that visit, did Dr. Friedman make treatment recommendations for Dr. Adelson? He did. He recommended chiropractic manipulation in 2 regions, manual therapy with myofascial release, therapeutic stretching of the lumbar area, electrical stimulation, and moist heat. Did he also set recommendations with respect to further treatment for Dr. Adelson? Correct. He saw Dr. Adelson again on the dates you referred to, September 7th, 2016 and September 16th, 2016. And did Dr. Friedman, in fact, recommend that Dr. Adelson return for 3 chiropractic visits per week for 4 weeks at that initial evaluation? Hasselbrock, objective form. Furman, according to his medical record. Answer, yes. He said he's scheduled for 3 visits for 4 weeks, at which time reevaluation will be performed. And in the August 30th, 2016 record, was there an indication that Dr. Friedman had in fact provided at that visit some chiropractic manipulations and treatment in an attempt to return normal function to the involved joints from Dr. Friedman? I can direct you to the last page of his treatment notes, Dr. Licht. That would have been August 30th, 2016? Yes, the first visit. Yes, he says, quote, through chiropractic manipulation and treatment of this patient, an attempt was made to restore normal function to the involved joints. And he states, quote, I feel we have succeeded fairly well in this endeavor. Question. Dr. Adelson then returned to Dr. Friedman on a subsequent visit of September 7th, 2016, correct? Yes. And received chiropractic treatment at that visit as well, correct? Yes. As well as electrical stimulation, therapeutic stretching, and moist heat, correct? Hasselbrock, objective form. Witness, yes, correct. Furman. And then he again returned to Dr. Friedman on September 16th of 2016, correct? Yes. And at that treatment, Dr. Friedman again provided chiropractic treatment, manual therapy, stretching, exercises, electrical stimulation, and moist heat, correct? Hasselbrock, objective form. Witness, yes. Furman. In addition, you noted in your medical record review that you reviewed the records of a Dr. Rahat Fadarani. Is that correct, Dr. Licht? Yes. Those office visit notes were September 29th, 2016 and October 31st, 2016, correct? Correct. And you would have reviewed in Cyprus the medical records from Dr. Fadarani for that initial visit that he had with Dr. Adelson on September 29th, 2016? Yes. What was the condition for which Dr. Adelson was seeking treatment with Dr. Fadarani at that visit? Answer. The reason for the appointment is noted as lumbosacral pain, severe, right greater than left. Question. So, as you had indicated, Dr. Adelson was seeking treatment for a self-reported pain condition from Dr. Fadarani? Yes. Dr. Fadarani is the same type of doctor as yourself, is that correct? An internal medicine doctor? He's an osteopathic doctor, correct? Correct. You're an internal medicine doctor, but you're a medical doctor, correct? Correct. Dr. Fadarani conducted an examination and recorded the results of his examination of Dr. Adelson in that first treatment note, correct? Yes. He also recounted those findings and statements included in his office visit note with respect to Dr. Adelson, correct? Correct. And what was your assessment of the results of the exam by Dr. Fadarani of Dr. Adelson at that initial visit? Hasselbrock, objective form. Furman, let me clarify the question. What were the findings on exam that Dr. Fadarani made of Dr. Adelson at the September 29th, 2016 visit? Answer. As I noted in my review, the internal medicine attending physician, that's Dr. Fadarani, does not describe physical findings that would confirm nerve root compression, such as sensory motor loss or reduction in reflexes. There are no specific neurological deficits coming from the lumbar spine condition. Central bulges and herniations are a fairly common condition and do not necessarily result in impairment or functional loss. Excuse me. Certainly, the claimant may experience some symptoms of low back pain and stiffness at times, but this would not prevent most daily activities. Question. That was based on your assessment of all these medical records from Dr. Fadarani and Dr. Friedman. Is that correct? Yes. In a September 29th visit, is it your understanding that Dr. Fadarani noted that he had recommended Dr. Adelson undergo epidural steroid injections for his lumbar spine? Yes. In a note, it references that was in fact scheduled for him. Answer. It says, quote, I believe the patient is an injection candidate for lumbar epidural steroid injection. I will set up for the injection for the near term. Question. In addition to that recommendation, did Dr. Fadarani make additional treatment recommendations for Dr. Adelson at the initial visit on September 29th, 2016? Yes, he went on to say that should injection and physical therapy fail, Dr. Adelson is a candidate for surgery, a discectomy, and fusion. Were there additional treatment recommendations that Dr. Fadarani made on that visit as well? Yes, he did. And what were those? Okay, this is where I think it's pronounced NSAIDs. That's nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory pain medications taken with food, muscle relaxants. Benzodiazepine was advised. Reduce workload to 2 days per week. Reduce workday to 5 hours. The claimant was informed to use a heating pad in the affected area 5 to 10 minutes at a time. Avoid lifting and bending. He was also informed, to paraphrase his recommendations, to use mild stretching exercise routines and showed diagrams and educational material. He was informed to use a support brace. He was instructed to ask the chiropractor to obtain proper support brace. He was informed to call 911 in case of emergency, and he was informed about all available management options. Follow up as needed. Question. In your opinion, were the treatment recommendations made by Dr. Fadarani for Dr. Adelson appropriate for the condition that he was reporting to Dr. Fadarani? Hasselbrock. Objection. Object to form, but also counsel. Are you talking about the report? Furman. I'm asking the doctor if he believes those recommendations were consistent with the condition he's reporting. Hasselbrock. Okay, my objection stands, but go ahead. Witness. The answer would be yes. Furman. And in your experience, do patients generally comply with treatment recommendations from their treating physicians if they've sought out medical care for a condition? Hasselbrock. Object to the foreman. Now, counsel, I have to ask, is this witness being offered as an expert? Furman. No, I'm just demonstrating that his level of expectation with respect to the records that he reviewed and what those records would mean in terms of his interpretation of them. Hasselbrock. My objection stands. Go ahead. Witness. Can you repeat the question, please? Furman. Doctor, I just want to know, you reviewed those treatment recommendations as part of your medical record review, correct? Yes. And you earlier testified that the care that was provided to Dr. Adelson was appropriate when the plaintiff's attorney asked you that question, correct? Yes. So I wanted to direct you to the specific care if it was designated and just confirm that you believe that care was prescribed by the doctor was appropriate for the condition, correct? Hasselbrock. Object to form. Witness. Yes. Furman. Dr. Fadarani also saw Dr. Adelson on the subsequent date of October 31st, 2016, correct? Yes. And in that visit, did Dr. Fadarani continue with his treatment recommendations for Dr. Adelson? Yes. So his office visit note in terms of his treatment recommendations speak for itself in terms of what Dr. Fadarani recommended for Dr. Adelson, correct? Yes. There was an additional recommendation not made on the first visit. What was the additional recommendation? He notes under treatment, quote, I reviewed his MRI findings with him again. That is Dr. Adelson. He's advised to reduce work hours and limit the physically demanding tasks to a level where he does not experience as many flare-ups. I discussed neurosurgical options since 2 earlier injections. Dr. Adelson prefers to defer these options as a last resort. And then the remainder of the recommendations were as in the previous visit. Question. So those treatment recommendations from Dr. Fadarani, you assessed that those recommendations for him to have a rest period essentially for work activities of, I believe it's 2 days per week, 5 hours per day, that you had noted in your medical record review, as well as these other treatment recommendations. You believe those were appropriate recommendations to be made to Dr. Adelson to address his pain complaints, correct? Hasselbrock. Object to the form. Witness. Yes. Furman, Doctor, do you have any knowledge as to whether Dr. Adelson actually pursued any or all of the treatment recommendations from Dr. Fadarani? Hasselbrock, object to form. Witness, no. Furman, other than the 3 chiropractic notes from Dr. Friedman, do you have any knowledge whether Dr. Adelson pursued any of the treatment recommendations from Dr. Fadarani? Hasselbrock, object to the form. I think you confused the doctors there. Furman, I'm sorry, I did. Dr. Friedman, other than the 3 treatment records from Dr. Friedman, did you have any knowledge of whether Dr. Adelson pursued the treatment recommendations from Dr. Friedman beyond the records that were available to you for your review? Hasselbrock, object to the form. Witness, meaning the chiropractic physician, Dr. Friedman? Furman, correct. Answer, no. Question, Dr. Adelson was recommended to pursue medications in the form of NSAIDs, maybe, and muscle relaxants, correct? Yes. Do you have any knowledge as to whether Dr. Adelson actually used any of those medications as directed? Answer, I was given an IntelliScript of medication note of prescriptions given to Dr. Adelson, and none of those medications you mentioned were prescribed. Question, and that IntelliScript is mentioned in your medical review. Is that correct? That's the pharmacy scan dated 12/12/2016. Is that correct? Yes. It states the pharmacy scan reveals no medications prescribed since the claimed date of impairment, 8/30/2016. Question, you also had available to you the attending physician statement that Dr. Fadarani would have completed in connection with Dr. Adelson's claim in the Cypress material? Yes. Is that referenced in your medical record review? Yes. That's where it says R. Fadarani, 10/21/2016? Yes. And that's where it's noted 2 hours of sitting, standing, walking, and driving, as noted by Dr. Fadarani in that record, correct? Yes. And the other recommendation from Dr. Fadarani had been, in the previous note, the reduction for his workload for 2 days per week, 5 hours per day. Do you have any knowledge whether Dr. Adelson complied with that treatment recommendation from Dr. Fadarani? No. Hasselbrock, object to form. Furman, I believe you said no, doctor? No. In your experience, were all those treatment recommendations appropriate for the condition that Dr. Adelson was presenting with for treatment to Drs. Friedman and Fadarani in terms of the epidural steroid injection, the support brace, physical therapy, chiropractic treatment, anti-inflammatories, NSAIDs, and muscle relaxants? Hasselbrock, object to form. Witness, I'm sorry, what was the first part of your question? Ms. Furman, just whether in your experience those were appropriate types of treatment to be recommended for Dr. Adelson. Yes. And to your understanding, the purpose of those treatments would have been to try to address the pain complaints that he was reporting. Is that your understanding? Same objection. Witness, yes. Furman, in Dr. Fadarani's attending physician's statement, did he note the date that he completed that report? Yes. He completed that report on October 31st, 2016. And in that attending physician statement, did he also note the date and time of the next visit with Dr. Adelson? Yes, it was noted as November 29th, 2016. And do you know, as you're sitting here today, whether Dr. Adelson has in fact had that visit on November 29th, 2016? No, I don't. Hasselbrock, object to form. Furman, in terms of your conclusions in the report, you noted that some degree of impairment was supported by the available medical evidence, correct? Yes. And the available medical evidence that you had was all the evidence you noted, and we reviewed here today that goes from approximately August 2016 through the end of October 2016, correct? Hasselbrock, object to the form. Witness, yes. Furman, so based on that available medical evidence, you determined that during the time period of those medical records, there was some level of impairment that was supported by that medical evidence, correct? Hasselbrock, same objection. Witness, yes, some degree of impairment was supported by the available medical evidence I reviewed. Furman, you noted that the prognosis for return to full function with passage of time was good as well, correct? Yes. And was it your expectation that with the receipt of appropriate medical care, in fact, Dr. Adelson likely would be able to return to a full level of work following his doctor's recommendations. Maybe or maybe not. And in fact, you addressed that maybe not in your final concluding paragraph there of the report, where you said, if pain persists, referral from the attending internal medicine physician to either a neurosurgeon, orthopedic back surgeon, or physical medicine and rehabilitation specialist would be expected, correct? Yes. So if Dr. Adelson continued to experience pain despite complying with these treatment recommendations, it was your expectation that he would have been referred by his internal medicine doctor, the same type of doctor you are, that he would have been referred to a specialist to evaluate and potentially treat his pain complaints. Is that correct? Yes. And in your experience as a treating physician, is that what your own experience has been? Hasselbrock, object to form. Witness, yes. Furman, you as an internal medicine physician faced with a patient with continuing pain complaints are familiar with patients where you've referred to specialists for further evaluation and treatment. Is that correct? Hasselbrock, object to the form. Witness, yes. Furman, at this point you have no knowledge whether that occurred for Dr. Adelson? That's correct. In terms of the degree of impairment, you say some degree of impairment. Is this a mild degree of impairment you're noting there? What can you describe in terms of what you meant by that? Some degree of impairment? Did you want me to speculate as to what the degree of impairment was? Question. Well, you say some degree of impairment. Was it a mild degree of impairment that you're referring to here? Hasselbrock, object to the form. Witness. He had a self-reported now chronic pain condition. I don't know how to describe mild, moderate, or severe. It would appear that when he was working in the position, he had to assume to perform the duties of a periodontist that stimulated his pain response, such that he was uncomfortable. I think mild, moderate, severe doesn't specifically quantify it, but based on my experience with many patients who have had this kind of condition, he would have been uncomfortable. Furman. And that's based on his self-report of the pain and how he experienced the pain during work activities. Is that correct? Yes. And that's why you said with respect to a functional perspective, when symptomatic, he would have these restrictions for bending, pushing, pulling, twisting at the waist, and lifting no more than 10 pounds, correct? Yes. And these were the pain complaints that he was seeking treatment for from his doctors that you anticipate should have either responded to treatment or he should have pursued specialty advice and treatment from a specialist, correct? Yes. And your further recommendation with respect to the question that was asked on the form that says, when should the file be returned for medical review? There's a check mark there for both a date, and it says after the following occurs, and then there was an item that was selected upon receipt of additional medical records. Your recommendation, at least, was that the file should be reviewed after additional medical records were received. Is that correct? Yes. And the reason for your recommendation in that respect was because you're looking to see if, in fact, his condition improved based upon the treatment that was recommended from his doctors. Hasselbrock, object to the form. Witness, yes. Furman, your recommendation at that point was to get these additional medical records to determine how he has progressed in those medical records, subsequent to the date of the medical records that you had available to you, correct? Hasselbrock, same objection. Witness, yes. Furman, and the last medical record that you had available to you was the October 31st records from Dr. Fadarani, the attending physician statement and his office visit notes from that date, correct? Hasselbrock, object to the form. Witness, yes. Furman, and therefore the opinions you provided were based on the available medical records that you had before you prepared your report, correct? Yes. Doctor, I don't mean to belabor this issue, but on the first page under the medical records review, it did indicate under the section medical reviewer's opinion regarding the degree of impairment / adequacy of medical information to assess claimed impairment. And in the response, you noted mild impairment supported by adequate information, correct? Answer, yes, I did not note that. That was extrapolated from the review. Question. Okay, the entry there, quote, mild impairment supported by adequate information. That would not be something that you would have filled in. Answer, correct. That was more likely than not filled in by the claims examiner or whoever handled the report after I saw it. Question, doctor, do you have a specific recollection whether you completed that or the referral person completed that? Answer, I have no recollection. Normally, I would not have completed that. Question, okay. Answer, normally I would not have received Cypress 571 form, or let me amend that by saying, if it had been provided to me, I would not have looked at it. It was not material to my function of reviewing the records. All right. At the top, it indicates to be completed by the medical reviewer. You were the medical reviewer, correct? Yes. It indicates medical review was completed by David Licht in that section, correct? I'm sorry, where are you looking at here? Oh, yes. Okay, with respect to that section, that's what the record reflects with respect to that section of this document, correct? Answer, yes. I don't recall filling out this form as it was not my usual and customary to do that. Question, at this point in time, do you have a specific recollection as to completing the form, or would the document be the best evidence as to how the document was completed at the time? Answer, I have no recollection of completing it, no. Okay, so then she says those are all the questions she has. Okay, so that's about it. So this was not really all that enlightening or exciting. I think the plaintiff's attorney is trying to make it look like Dr. Licht was totally in support of Charlie Adelson's disability insurance claim, but really he just reviewed the records for maybe a 2-month time period back in 2016 when he started seeing his first doctor. So I don't think that really helps his case that much, but they attached it as one of the exhibits to their pleading. So let me take a look here. Thank you guys for being here and continuing to be interested in the Charlie Adelson or Dan Markel case. So thank you, Antoine, for being here. Yeah, glad you like the necklace. Yeah, my cousin gave me a long time ago. Hi, everybody. Hi, who said Kate? Yeah, thank you so much. Everybody hit that like button. Yeah, sorry it didn't turn out to be like some smashing great, big news as to whether Charlie Adelson had anything to do with murdering Dan Markel or whatever. So like I said before, it is kind of a tangential issue, but it is a lawsuit that is still going on. And I have no idea how they would handle having a trial in federal court for this civil case if he's still in jail. Like, are they really going to bring him out with his hands handcuffed, wearing the jail outfit, or would the judge allow him to wear normal clothes, or would they even allow him to have his hands unshackled if there is a trial in this case? Maybe they would just wait and see what happens with his criminal case before they schedule a trial in this federal case. Yeah, hi, Debt-Free Dad. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Hi, Serial Killer. Okay. Patient, hey, doc, it hurts when I do this. Doctor, don't do that. Yeah, I know. I mean, a lot of it, they just kept saying over again, this is self-reported. This is his own self-reported pain. Okay. So it's kind of like common sense. It's like if it gives you pain, supposedly, then don't do it, or follow through with whatever medical care your doctors are telling you to do, which the insurance company is saying that he did not follow through with the plan of care. So Harvey is 78 years old. He's not disability. Charlie is a really pathetic human. Yeah. Then again, Harvey was not a periodontist. So I don't know. I mean, but I'm still assuming Harvey would still have to, bend over and twist and, be like sitting down, bent over his patients to do whatever work he might have to do on his patients too. Yeah. So, I'm not sure if everybody here has been a big fan of Fancy Fiction's YouTube channel, but I'll put that in the chat box again, just in case you haven't heard of her amazing YouTube channel that has tons of wiretap phone calls in regards to the Dan Markel murder. So most of the phone calls are between Charlie Adelson and all sorts of people, like his random sort of, friends with benefits, his friends that he sells steroids to, allegedly, his phone calls with his then sort of girlfriend, June, phone calls with mom, Donna Adelson, and some phone calls with Harvey Adelson. But as far as I know, there were no phone calls between him and Wendy on that channel. But I think Fancy said she only heard of one phone call between Wendy and Charlie, and it didn't have anything interesting in that phone call. So I think they were very careful in making sure that the communications with her might have been in person or through WhatsApp. So that's what I think. So please check out Fancy Fiction. But there is a phone call where Charlie is talking with his mother sometime around April of 2016, and they're talking about this person he knows that now has stage 4 cancer, and he doesn't have much long to live. And so they're both kind of feeling bad about the guy and saying, oh, this is so sad, and he has 2 kids, and see, this, it just shows that you don't know how short your life could be, or you got to enjoy your life while you can. And Charlie says something to the effect that, well, he's already slowing down his work, and he already has a plan to have it all over with by 2018. So it kind of hints that he already had been applying or had already secured these disability insurance policy, and his plan probably was to, act like he had such a horrible back problem that he couldn't work anymore. He experienced such a huge drop in income due to his so-called back injury, and then he would be able to just sit back and collect his disability insurance payments. So definitely take a look at Fancy Fiction's YouTube channel too. And let's see here. Oh, hi there. Thank you for being here. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate your support. Yeah, sorry that deposition really was kind of a snooze, but at least it didn't take too long for me to read, right? Like nothing totally like earth-shattering there. Since this is a lumbar spine case, shouldn't an orthopedic or sport medicine doc review Charlie's file instead of an internal medicine doc? Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, that's up to the insurance company. And I didn't see any other depositions of doctors in that file, but then again, it's been a while since I combed through the whole entire court file. They charge you every time you click through and you want to see a document and stuff. So these documents were kind of buried within the electronic system as attachments to a document filed by his attorney. So there could have been maybe some other doctor that also was involved in this case, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, because not everybody's deposition ends up becoming an attachment to somebody's court filing, which then becomes public record. Yeah. I'm still surprised he's asking for a jury trial. I think since he will be in prison, he will just settle what they offer. Yeah, and I'm not even sure, like, how would they even, well, now I can't even remember. Like, I don't even know if they did mediation already in this case. They might have done mediation. I didn't see any indication of it, or at least I don't recall. And again, I still didn't see any sort of order on the motion for summary judgment either, but it looks like they're just going ahead and preparing as if there is a trial, because I remember you just told me yesterday that you saw there were some jury verdict forms that were already being submitted. Yeah, so kind of interesting, but not every order is publicly visible on that court website that I'm looking at. Yeah. So let's see, moist heat equals a hot tub. There you go, Charlie. Yeah, true. Exactly. It's like it's not rocket science. It doesn't seem like he's so bad off, because he was still traveling all over the place and having fun with his different, girlfriends or friends with benefits or whatever, go-karting and doing a lot of active activities, and still had a gym membership all the way up until the time of his deposition last December. Yeah. Okay. So you think, okay. Yeah, who knows if he'll get some small settlement for them to go away, but the insurance companies usually fight like pit bulls. Like, they're not gonna just hand over money or a settlement that easily, especially if he's already in jail and might face a prison term. So I think maybe, like, if he's convicted criminally, then at the very least, he might get the disability payout from the time period of late 2017, or no, late 2016 or early 2017, up until the time that he wound up being arrested in April. So yeah, hi Blue Pearl girl, thank you for being here. Thanks. Can medical insurance company hire private investigators to see what Charlie's daily routine schedule is, like making sure yeah, I mean, they totally can, because I've been involved in auto accident cases as a plaintiff's attorney in the past, as well as workers' comp cases where the insurance company hired investigators to follow our clients around, and we didn't find out until later. So, you know, they would find, for example, the client exercising and running like crazy, or lifting weights at the gym, or you know, going, you know, running around with friends and sitting in a movie theater for 2.5 or 2 hours straight, showing no signs of any sort of back injury or back impairment, or carrying groceries, bending over. You know, they will definitely do those types of undercover operations. So I'm sure they did it in this case, but I hadn't seen anything that was actually filed in the court file that indicated that. Yeah. But I'm just surprised that there's no insurance fraud claim also being brought against him, because, I mean, they sort of hint at it, but they didn't actually make a claim against him saying that he committed fraud. Yeah. Although that can also be a criminal matter. Yeah. Has Charlie asked for any therapy or special? Yeah, not as far as we know. I mean, definitely check out True Lifestyles. Well, I know you already watched True Lifestyles YouTube channel, so I'll also give her a shout out here. But she's the one that's really been investigating a lot of those, like, jail condition, or what's going on at jail for Katie Magbanua and Charlie, you know. And she found out that in his jail intake form, it specifically said he had no disability and he had no special needs or anything. So I'm like, well, what happened to that TENS unit? Supposedly he had some random TENS unit sitting around that he found in his home that he sort of used. And maybe he just like bought some sort of back brace or back wrap type thing from a drugstore, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it definitely goes to his credibility that he was trying to get disability benefits and then still doing all sorts of other very active physical things. And now in jail, as far as I know, he had no need for any special accommodations. Yeah, so this is True Lifestyles YouTube channel, which also covers the Dan Markel case and has a lot of really juicy information there about Charlie Adelson and Katie Magbanua. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so Albert, hey Albert, I'm sure insurance companies, yes, they definitely do. They definitely do. I mean, that sounds like a very interesting job, but then it can also be kind of scary if people find out that the investigator is following them or tries to threaten them or something. Yeah. I know someone that worked as an investigator, and she said sometimes it would be pretty awful because she just spent so much time sitting around in her car waiting for someone to come out or to drive somewhere and then follow the person. So there's a lot of really boring downtime where you're just waiting for something to happen as an investigator. They just need to interview Charlie's many girlfriends as to his back pain. Yeah, well, I didn't hear any complaints about him having back pain and all those wiretap phone calls that are on Fancy Fiction's YouTube channel. Yeah, did anybody hear any of that? Yeah, he didn't complain about his back at all to anybody. I mean, it was all about going out, having fun, going out on the boat, you know, gonna go meet up with his friends. Yeah, it was just crazy. Yeah. Getting injured through sex tourism, I don't think should be covered. Yeah, yeah, that is definitely not covered. So, Charlie's many girlfriends should have been walking on his back after sex to get the kinks. Yeah, but did you hear that phone call where he was telling his male friend about the 19-year-old, I guess, Hispanic young lady that he had relations with, and as soon as it was over, she just got up and left him, and he was wondering, "Hey, where are you going?" So, I guess he was so awful that nobody wanted to stick around after the act was over. So, it's okay, I guess I shouldn't be, like, laughing about that, right? Yeah. So, people are saying that I need to be more serious. So, okay, surprised he hasn't thought to add depression and anxiety to his medical claim, because he could have easily said depression and anxiety are resulted due to back pain and loss of income. Yeah, that's true, because his ex-girlfriend June did say that he was taking medication like Xanax for anxiety, when she was interviewed back in 2018. Yeah, who knows? Maybe he didn't want any psychiatric records coming out or coming into play. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's always nice to see who's out there and who wants to talk about the case and stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, I know some people don't really like really long live streams, or they don't want to watch long videos and stuff, but you know, I can't give everybody what everybody wants, because not everybody likes the same kind of stuff. Yeah, I bet he can't stand his wrinkled jail jump. Well, I think that's the least of his worries, a wrinkled jail jumpsuit. Yeah. I think he's probably not getting a good diet in the jail. So that's probably why he looks so pasty-faced and kind of sickly and aged on, was it a week and a half ago when he was at the court hearing. Yeah. So, hi, Jen. Thank you for being here. Hi, Bruce. And also Pancakes is here. Yeah, thank you for always tuning in and commenting and everything. So Antoine says if he wins a monetary judgment, how does he receive the money? Oh, well, I'm sure it could just be wired or a check made out to him, and I'm sure he still has some sort of bank accounts out there. So if you guys tuned in to the multi-part deposition of the CPA Jay Shapiro, he did mention during his deposition that he had a conversation with Harvey Adelson about making arrangements in case the whole family got arrested, in case they all got arrested. I don't know who that refers to, but I would assume it at least refers to Harvey, Donna, and Charlie. So it looks like they had already started putting things in trust and maybe signed power of attorney forms to have their CPA help them. So I'm sure there are people out there or his own family members that are helping to handle his funds. I find it odd that from the get-go in the bump, the undercover said he was Tato's brother, so why were CA and KM not talking in terms that he was behind this, trying to get money, and they needed to help him? Yeah, that is kind of weird. It's like, then why wouldn't Katie try to contact Luis Rivera or get Sigfredo to contact Tato to see if that person really was his brother? Yeah, I'm not sure. But when I heard it again on Deep Dive True Crime, because just recently Mentor Lawyer decided to show that bump video and have another video talking about that whole incident with the undercover guy. Just listening to him, I was like, yeah, he didn't sound convincing like some gangster's brother at all. The guy just spoke a little bit too, like he was too educated or too articulate to really be credible. So, anyway, but it was really interesting to watch that video all over again because there are so many details in this crazy convoluted case that it's really hard to remember all the facts and details. Charlie thinks he's smarter than anyone else. He'll take a trial. Arrogance. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to take any sort of plea bargain or agree to rat out his mother or Wendy. So just all his life and all of these legal dealings and issues and the wiretap phone calls, everything that I have heard about him makes him seem like a very narcissistic, arrogant person who thinks he's always right, and he likes to talk down to everybody like he's the maestro, he's the master of everything, and he knows the answer to everything. So I don't know if he has, I don't know. I doubt being in jail since April has changed his personality that much to the point where he would agree with his attorney if his attorney told him he needs to make a deal. So I'm not sure. Oh, okay. You like the funny stuff? Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I do kind of walk a fine line because it is true. I'm still a licensed practicing attorney, so I can't totally be acting goofy and dressing up like Katie Magbanua and June, right? So I gotta tone that. Okay, you guys are too funny. Jackhammer sex forward to Charlie. Okay. Well, he did talk about using handcuffs in one of his wiretapped phone calls too, so that could probably aggravate his back too if he likes being handcuffed. So, okay. Nobody does. Okay, I don't know what nobody does counts for. So, okay. No steroids. The body goes much. Yeah. So, what's he really going to look like after a few more months? Like his muscle tone will totally disappear. You think? Guys that come out in great shape, work out constantly. Yeah. So who knows what the jail conditions are like? We're still waiting for True Lifestyles to get us more information, what life is like in there. Do they have a gym? Are there weights that he gets to lift? I mean, that sounds like it could be dangerous having those inmates, having access to dumbbells that they could use as weapons. Yeah, he's in jail, not in corrections yet. I mean, how does he receive money while he's in jail? I remember a client had a hard time accessing money since he didn't have direct access to his account while in jail. Well, I mean, what does he really need money for while he's in jail, though? Because, his food and shelter are being provided for. So, other than, bills on the outside, I'm sure his parents can help him pay his bills on his home and check the mail or whatever. But, I mean, really, he would just need extra money if he wanted some snack options or whatever was on this like big list of products and toiletries the prisoners could also additionally order for some money. So I think, I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like the people in jail do have their own little jail accounts, which they can use for discretionary purchases, like buying that ramen or coffee or something. Yeah. And, his parents are not too far away, so they can certainly help him out, as well as the CPA who probably has the power of attorney. Yeah. Oh, okay. So commissary books. Okay. That's a technical term. Okay. I'm not that familiar with all that. So thank you. It would go to whomever is looking after his finances outside while he's incarcerated. Yeah. Still concerned about Katie getting, oh, well, she asked for size 7 panties in in a later request. So people are saying, yeah, she's been like eating too many of those carbs and honey buns and all the junk food that she was trying to request. So yeah, no longer size 6 panties. I like the funny stuff. Okay. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is really funny reading some people's comments and stuff too. So I don't think we have to be serious 100% of the time. I'm not sure why they don't offer Katie incentive to open up more. It doesn't seem she would be the big target. Yeah, well, based on Charlie's pretrial release motion, it sounded like the prosecution did offer her a deal before her trial to rat out Charlie, but she still wouldn't do it. So that's contained in that motion for pretrial release that I read in a previous live stream. So, okay. I like the Judy humor and fun, but maybe it's okay. Well, I have to walk a fine line. I don't want to be like a total comedian stuff because it does have to do with the death of Dan Markel and serious subjects about criminal justice and everything. So I can't be a total goofball, but once in a while, I just can't help myself. So yeah, commissary is life in jail. Yeah. Yeah, that recap style video ML posted was a good refresher of just everything said because like you said, it is a lot. Yeah, exactly. It's like even though I feel like I've already seen a lot of the stuff that's out there, it's still interesting to me to rewatch. And right now I'm rereading the draft of the book about the Dan Markel case, which attorney Steve Epstein is getting ready to publish. So he has promised to be a guest, I think on April 26th, whatever that Friday is, towards the end of the month. So we'll have a live stream with Steve as the guest, and he's going to talk all about writing the book about the Dan Markel case. So let's see. Your stomach will appreciate commissary. Oh, really? I mean, it seems like I looked up that jalapeno cheese, squeeze cheese that Katie really wanted in one of her notes that True Lifestyle showed. And I think it's like a specialty jail product because I've never even noticed this kind of product before. So you guys can tell me in the comments, have you ever had that kind of jalapeno squeeze cheese? Because it even showed up on some Texas prison system website as one of the products. So I'm wondering, are there special foods that only people can get if they're in prison? That's not fair. I mean, what if it tastes really good? Although I think it probably tastes like Velveeta cheese or whatever. Yeah, so jalapeno squeeze cheese. I think there was a brand called Annie's Hot Jalapeno, and I've never even noticed it in the store. Yeah. So let's see. Oh yeah, he needs the money for extra noodles and cigarettes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he will get all the money he wants. He's probably the most richest person in that jail. Honey buns, coffee, and ramen are money. Yeah, that's what I heard. You pray somebody will put a few bucks. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, Charlie's still in touch with his parents, so they can definitely, put tons of money on it every day. And he's also been charging up thousands of dollars, making tons of phone calls because they have to pay for the phone calls. So True Lifestyles pointed out he has spent so much time making lots and lots of phone calls to his father and then I'm sure there are some to his mother and then to this Filipino-American therapist that he seems to be spending a lot of time talking to. Yeah, he probably has a mortgage and some baby care expenses. Yeah, yeah, who knows? Maybe he bought his place outright, though. We have no idea. I mean, it sounds like they had a lot of money. Yeah, but there's still plenty to do. I mean, can you imagine just suddenly getting arrested in the middle of the night, and then who's gonna handle all your bills and make sure nobody broke into your house and, make sure lawn is taken care of? There's so many things. Yeah, it's funny she asked for a size 7, they could only give her a size 5. They're going the wrong direction. That must have been a bad month for her. Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's like, why do you keep asking for new panties? Are they free, like prison-issued underwear? I guess. Oh, okay. What was the deal? I'll look that up. Okay, so you'll look up something. Yeah. Yeah, because there are definitely other channels out there doing a lot more sleuthing than I have time to do. So, I heard they can get butterscotch candies to cost to Rivera multiple times in the trial. What? Really? Okay, I don't remember that being mentioned. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, we don't want them to be totally deprived and tortured, right? So let the guy have some butterscotch candies if he wants, right? Yeah. Priorities change. Okay, it's like a deluxe spread, like a supreme pizza. Okay. Okay, thank you for that information. They mix squeezed cheese with noodles. It kind of tastes like an imitation of a nice pasta. Oh, okay. Yeah, but it sounds so unhealthy, all that partially hydrogenated fat. If Charlie Adelson's baby mama had to sue for paternity, who is paying that now? Hmm. Well, they settled it. So I have no idea what the settlement terms could have been. It could have been for, yeah, I mean, I'm still sure that it was probably like a monthly amount as opposed to one lump sum settlement because their kid is so young. The son is probably about 4.5 years old right now. So, yeah, so I'm sure it was some sort of monthly payout, and his parents or whoever has the power of attorney can still be cutting the checks or transferring the money over to his baby mama. I mean, he's not broke at all. He has tons of money. There's probably still a bunch of cash that might have already been found by the authorities. Yeah. Okay. Or so you've heard. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So on that note, I think I'll end this live stream because it's already been over an hour, but I appreciate you guys tuning in and caring about the case. And I will continue looking through court records and try to request some court records from Florida regarding his state cases. So there will be more to talk about in regards to Charlie Adelson as well as the Dan Markel case. And oh, okay, Hive Mind Concussion is here. Thank you. Charlie can afford to pay prison guards for special favors. Maybe he'll swoon a female guard to break him. Oh yeah, did you guys heard about that case? That was only a few months ago, where that blonde woman that worked for the prison fell in love with one of the prisoners, and then what happened? Did she kill herself? I think like when they were about ready to be found, she shot herself. Yeah, that was a really weird case. Yeah. So I can totally see something crazy like that happening. I mean, there's so many weird twists and turns in this whole saga. Yeah. Parents must be in charge of. Yeah, I was thinking, boy, that must have been really embarrassing for him to have his parents go into his home and be like packing up all his stuff and seeing whatever creepy belongings he might have had inside his home. Yeah. Although the authorities may have already seized all his stuff, and if he had a computer, seize his computers and everything. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, houses, cars, properties, child support. Yep, there's a lot to take care of when somebody gets thrown in the slammer. Yeah, thank you, Carol. Thanks for being here, and Albert. Um, yeah. Oh, okay. More popular than okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Casey White and yeah, yeah, because they had the same last name. Yeah, whatever happened to the man though? Is he back in prison? Yeah, because Vicky shot herself, right? Or so they say. I mean, we don't know if the man actually shot her or not, but I haven't been totally following up on that since then. It's been several months since that happened. It was odd that Sigfredo requested to change his diet to kosher. Also, his book requests chicken noodle soup for the prisoner's soul. He's going to need a lot more than soup to save his soul. Yeah. And then was it you who said that Sigfredo's handwriting looks like a 12-year-old girl's or something? Well, whoever put that in, that made me laugh too. So, yeah, so Sigfredo is actually more literate than we thought. Yeah. Oh, okay, they're charging him with her murder? Wow. Okay, well, I'll definitely go and look into that. Thank you guys. You guys really follow a lot of true crime cases. That's pretty cool. Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, you seem like you know a lot about all these cases and stuff. So let me know if you want to be a guest on a future show, and then we can have you just tell us everything about your thoughts and feelings about the Dan Markel case and Charlie Adelson and stuff. So, okay, so I'll go ahead and get going. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, but we still keep getting comments. Okay, he is in prison. He's being charged with her death. Oh, okay, he did not shoot her, but is responsible. Okay, okay, I see. Yeah. Yeah, pretty interesting that, she had just sold her house or something, right? Before she just walked off the job and let him out? Yeah. Okay. Okay, awesome. Well, cool. Well, let me know if you would like to be on the show. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm more than welcome other people talking, so you don't always have to hear me yapping away and my voice is gone and stuff. Yeah. Okay, thank you for being here, and thank you all for your support of the channel. Hope you have a great week then.